time to get serious. Y'all are coming in way too hot. Don't worry, I'm here to talk you out of it. Hi everyone, it's Chris George from Room and Board, and this is another 5 reasons you shouldn't back. This time we're taking a look at Castles of Burgundy, but not this Castles of Burgundy, and not this Castles of Burgundy. It is the, yeah, that wasn't a real one. I fooled you all. It is the special edition that is currently on GameFound right now and has raised over $1 million in the first 24 hours. I mean, it helps when they've been promoting it over other projects that are actually funding on GameFound for many months now. I don't know how long it's been. You build a following, you're ready to hit the ground running, and they have hit the ground running. And you might be contemplating backing Castles of Burgundy at this special deluxe edition. But the premise of this series, if you are new to the channel, and I recognize that a lot of you may be, since there's nothing better than making a first impression than me shouting at you not to purchase your favorite things. That's how I met all my neighbors. I burst into their house as they were in the middle of their birthday and said, "Don't eat that cake! Drop it right now!" By the way, I just moved in next door. But the premise of this series is not to make you not get a cool, fun thing. That's not the point. The premise of this series is that with these campaigns, there is often a huge sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. And it is often that fear of missing out that drives our purchasing decisions. And so you might end up purchasing something that a year down the line, when it finally arrives at your door, you realize that you have some regrets. And so what I try to do with this series is take a look at a campaign that has raised over $1 million, try to provide a counterpoint, and to hopefully ask some questions or bring up some points and make sure that you are satisfied and are equally as excited when it arrives at your door as you are when you hit the pledge button right now. Or when you pledged and were #1 backer, Richard. Oh, I saw the comment. Congratulations. Honestly, this one isn't for you. You should keep that #1 backer position, and yeah, you should get it. But he's the only one. But first, before I go into being a mean, miserable human being, before unleashing my true nature on the world, I like to mask it a little bit and talk about what I do like about the games, because there's a lot to like about Castles of Burgundy. Castles of Burgundy is a fantastic game. It really is. This has been around for ages. It's by the esteemed designer Stefan Feld and is often referred to as one of his greatest games ever. And mechanically, this game is so much fun. And so I was very excited for this deluxe special edition, and I thought, well, you know, I already own a copy, but if the price is right, maybe I'll get myself another one. One that I didn't get on the secondhand market that looked like it was sat on by Vernon Dursley. And I have to say, there are a lot of reasons, I'll put that over here, to be excited about the game. When I think of deluxe editions, I think of making a noticeable difference and noticeable quality of life adjustments that have come to life since playing the game. And I think there are a few in this version that I am genuinely excited for. This is a game that is famous for its sort of tough iconography. There's a bunch of little tiles that all do different things and give you special abilities. And the brilliant thing that I think they've done with this version is that all the yellow tiles, which used to be called knowledge tiles and now are called monastery tiles, because that happens when things get deluxified. They also, you know, change the name for everybody to be confused about. But these yellow tiles on the back of them now say what they do. And this can be done because they're also including these cloth bags. So one of the parts of Castles of Burgundy is you have to turn everything over, and they have different colored bags. And then you have to put a distribution of these on the board. And it's just to distribute basically the types of tiles that go out there. But they're including these little bags, so you can just draw them in and put them out. And it'll make setup easier. It'll make the game flow a little bit quicker, it'll be a little bit less tedious, and also you can then have what it does on the back of the tile because you don't need to put them face down for randomization purposes because you're drawing them from a bag. I think this is really slick, and this is a great improvement. Plus, in this edition, something that they've led with as their first stretch goal of the campaign, which is a smart thing to do because it gets people excited, and it certainly gets me excited, is a brand new expansion, a brand new Vineyards expansion, a new board that we don't know how it works yet because you all were too rabid for Burgundy, like a glass of milk in a phone booth and got to the 1 million bar before they released even how this expansion works, but it exists, and it's a new expansion by Stefan Feld that he's been thinking about for a while, and just judging by the size of the board, it feels like it will open up a bunch of new options throughout the game, which is exciting. It's exciting that the designer has revisited this classic design. It's exciting that it's just Awaken Realms, which is a company that I absolutely adore. I love the stuff that they put in. I love what they've done for this industry, even with GameFound and how they've pioneered that. And I love that they are revamping this awesome classic so that more people can potentially enjoy it. Mechanically, it's just a great game. You're always getting stuff. You're gonna roll 2 dice on your turn, and everybody else rolls 2 dice as well. And then you can use these dice to either take tiles from a central board and put them into your reserve, or take tiles from your reserve and put them onto your main board, which is variable. And then when you put your tile down, you get some points. And you get points for pretty much everything. But the act of rolling these dice and getting these tiles and creating these combos is a really fun one. So there's a lot of reasons to be excited. There are a lot of reasons why I am excited. That being said, that's not what this video is about. You're not here to hear all happiness and roses. You're here for the epic internet takedown. You're here for me to rail on that the 2 pledges, the one with the castles and the one without, are the same size box, so they're gonna charge you the same cost in shipping, and it's outrageous! I mean, that's not one of my points. I guess that could be point number 6. I know a lot of people in the comments are annoyed that they've removed the minis for a pledge because people asked them to remove the minis for a pledge, and they're annoyed that they're not making an entirely new box that will be smaller and they can save a little bit on shipping. And hey, I think it's a legitimate bit of feedback, but then again, I also know that the only reason that tier exists is because they have made concessions because people didn't want the castle minis, or some people didn't. So that's not my point. I can see those concerns, but I'm not going to bring it up personally. But there are reasons. Legitimate reasons. Aren't there? This is my friend the Castle of Beargundy. And when I go through these reasons, I just want you to remember that, well, I'm not the bad guy here. I'm really not. You know, all these people, they tell me, Chris, why do you constantly just rail on these campaigns? You just slam on them over and over. And I'm saying, listen, this is just my job. I'm not trying to be a villain here, okay? I'm just here to do a job, you know? YouTube is, well, it's a tough business, and you gotta do certain things to pay the bills, right? But that doesn't make me a bad guy, okay? I need you all to know that I am not the villain here. I just wanted to get that off my chest. But we've got a job to do, so it's time to get into the 5 reasons you shouldn't back Castles of Burgundy, starting with number 5, which is mechanics driven. And I try to always make some points based around mechanics and some not. But reason number 5 is that this game is more point salad than point salad. It's true. Everything in this game gets you points, as we touched on a little bit earlier. And I like that. I like that aspect of it. I think it's a fun aspect. But it is also something to recognize that this theme is basically garbage. It is. There's nothing here that matters. Oh, you're putting your castles in a little place and now you got a mine. Well, you do get a silver coin for a mine, but thematically, there's really nothing here, which was one of the reasons why I was surprised that Awaken Realms really was touching upon this. I think I am going to leave it there for the whole video. Because Awaken Realms is known as, at least to me, all of their games are so theme heavy, and I think that's why all of their minis and that stuff works. And this one is a huge deviation from that. And so if you don't like games that don't have a theme, and you were drawn in because it is Awaken Realms, or you don't like games where literally everything you do, almost almost literally everything you do gets you points, then you may not like this game. I mean, I don't know why people don't like point salad games, to be honest, because you get that dopamine hit of 1 point, 2 point. Oh, look, I finished the game with 234 points. I must be exceptional, versus that other game where I only scored 10. But I do know some people don't like that in their games, and it often can have the effect in these point salad games of feeling a bit aimless. Like you don't know if what you're doing is actually working towards a strategy, because all the points, when they pile up, they end up like most of my relationships. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. And so you don't really get that feeling of progression. It's kind of just wait till the end of the game and see what happens. And then it's also a little bit hard to determine where you went wrong, where your mistakes were, which again can vary, right? Like that may help increase the variability because there's always so many ways of getting points and you can't pinpoint where you went wrong. Then you want to play again to see if you can be more efficient, or it might be a little bit unsatisfying because it's often harder to hone in as specifically as to how to improve. But I personally have never played a game that has felt more like the definition of point salad, where everything's points, than Castles of Burgundy. I think that is a core feeling of the game and should be mentioned and seriously considered if you haven't had a lot of experience with this game. Now, reason number 4, again, talking about the gameplay itself, is that this is a game that is very prone to slow players or players with analysis paralysis. Because of the point salad nature, there's a lot going on. And everybody has their own individual board, and sometimes the boards are a different configuration and you're not familiar with everyone else's configuration as well. And so if you want to be really strategic, or if you're a player or you play with people who need to take the time to survey everything that's happening, saying, okay, what towns do they have access to? All right, they can complete that. They're potentially going for there. Their dice are these numbers, so I got to cross-reference it there, and my dice are these numbers. You can kind of coincide. I guess we're fighting over that one. Maybe we're not fighting over that one. How many workers do they have? Okay, so they can turn that dice actually into a 4 or a 6. So then they have access to those 2 depots, and they do have silverlings as well. So I have 2 silverlings, so we can get something from the middle, so they could get from 6, 5, 4, and the middle. And that's just for 1 turn. And there are 25 turns, essentially, in the game. That's the structure of the round. There are 5 rounds and then 5 little turns in a round where you roll your dice and you use your dice to do things. But this game can be excruciatingly long. That's why my personal preference is to play this at 2 players. I know a lot of people's preference is to play it at that smaller player count as well. So if you are looking for a game, a big Euro that plays with 4 people and your group's always 4 people, and your group is also always slow, and you hate waiting for people to take their turn, there will be a lot of downtime. So if you don't enjoy games where during the other player's downtime, you sit and look at the board and consider the possibilities, and you're going to be doing that for 2.5 hours at that sort of higher player count, again, this may not be the game for you. It doesn't matter that it is a solid game mechanically. If that's your play group, and if you play with people and that frustrates you, well, this new special edition isn't going to make it any less frustrating with the addition of its 10 expansions. In fact, it might make it even a little bit more frustrating, depending on how many new things you throw in and how many new things people need to assimilate. So that's all I'll say about the gameplay. Those are my little nitpicks for the gameplay. And to be fair, those may not apply to you. Those reasons don't actually apply to me because I'm the one who has the analysis paralysis, so I'm engaged in thinking about things while other people are waiting for their turns. And then I don't mind the point salad aspect of it. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be talking you out of it, not throwing away my own points. Those don't personally apply to me. However, the next 5, I'll throw in a couple extra then, just to make up for it, do apply a little. And so reason number 3 for me is that the acrylic tiles aren't included in the base pledge. And this might seem like a little bit of a nitpick or being argumentative just for the sake of it. They're an add-on, sure, they're available, you can get them, but I think to me, the acrylic tiles being left out of that base pledge and the metal coins, for example, being auto-included into the base pledge feels weird. I kind of feel like it should be all or nothing, one way or the other, because metal coins are always expensive. At any campaign that I've looked at, and I've looked at hundreds of them, if not thousands in my lifetime, anything that has metal coins, usually it works out to like $1 a coin. It's an expense. It's always a deluxification, and it is always something that a cheap person like me never goes for. Because you know what I got in my wallet? Cheaper metal coins. And if I wanted to play with them, I'd pull out my change. I understand the joy of deluxified components. I do. My parents got me the deluxe edition of Everdell for Christmas, for example, and it has metal coins, and yes, the feeling of it is great. But it's never something that I personally need to spend my money on or elevates the experience for me as much as the cost usually suggests it should. And so I am a bit miffed that there's an acrylic tiles option left out and the metal coins are auto included, because I don't think it needed to be. And I think the price could have been significantly reduced if you had, again, provided that as an add-on. Or I would even be fine if the two were switched, because they have included these bags, like I talked about in what I was excited about, and I think it is a really good idea to have these bags that you're drawing tiles from. I always find, or I have found in games where I'm drawing things from bags and constantly putting them back and forth, they wear a little bit more or a little bit sooner than something else might. But this is an actual consideration, and this actually can affect the quality and the longevity of your game. And so to make the decision for backers that you will be spending that extra money on the metal coins and not on the acrylic tiles just auto included, and you have to spend more money on the acrylic tiles, which I think more people would be interested in over metal coins. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel like more people would be interested in, just because of the gameplay and the actual longevity of the components situation. It feels a bit trying to push you to that higher tier. And I really think it should have been reversed. So that doesn't really jive that well with me. So that's why that's my number 3. Now, reason number 2, you can play it right now for 50% less, at least 50% less than what you're going to have to spend to play it in a year. The Castles of Burgundy, this edition, it came out in 2011. And they just reprinted a deluxe edition with most of the expansions in 2019. And that version, that sort of definitive version, is out in the world right now, and you could purchase it probably at your local game store. I looked online before I started this video, and there are 10 plus copies at my local game store. And it would cost me 50 bucks Canadian without shipping versus the 109, 130 plus the 32 euros that I'd have to spend getting it to my door. It's a lot. And it's not like this is some new revitalization of a game that has been out of print for a long, long time, and now is the only chance to get your hands on it. You can just go get it. And even though I love Awakened Realms, I also recognize they're incredibly good at selling you stuff, and their campaign pages are incredibly well structured. And the emphasis that it includes all the expansions so you don't have to track them down and you've got all of them is purposeful. Because in the deluxe edition, which is different than the special edition, which is this game found concept, it's got 8 of the 10 expansions in it. You're just missing a bunch of boards that, you know what? The pictures of them are online at Board Game Geek, so you could just print them out and play with them if you wanted. And maybe I shouldn't have even been bringing up any gameplay implications at all, because if you're contemplating backing this game, I assume that you know and you love the game, and you love the gameplay portion of it. Otherwise, why would you be considering spending this much money on a product that you could just go get right now? If you really wanted it, go get it right now. And hey, it's honestly a great purchase. And I think, objectively, a better value purchase than what you will get with this one, for double or potentially triple the price. And to go one step further with that, 2.5, you could just play it online for nothing. It's free on Board Game Arena right now. Both versions though, older version and the newer version, so you can even see what art you like better. Because everybody hates the art for the first version, and everybody also hates the art for the second version. And honestly, I don't see that stance changing even with the art in this third version. I personally hate how the dice are on their side in a little diamond. I think they just did it for fun, but it makes it a little bit less readable for me at a glance. And I know so many people have complaints like that till the end of time. But it's honestly a great game to play on Board Game Arena because the interaction, or at least the verbal interaction, like the deals that you can make, are pretty low in this game. You're mostly just focused on your own board and then looking at how the other players' boards and dice will affect you by stealing the things that you want. But it's not like you're going to make deals. I'm not going to say, hey, oh, don't take that tile and give it to me because I want to win. Like, it is a tense game where the order of your choices do matter, but that can be replicated online. I've been playing a lot of Castles of Burgundy online recently because I knew this video was coming up, and I've been enjoying it immensely, and almost as much as I enjoy it playing in person. Arguably, I'd say I might even enjoy it more because I've gotten to play more games of it. So you have these varying options. You have the free option of Board Game Arena. You have the grab it from under somebody sitting on it and run for your life like I did. You have the deluxe option, and then now you have this special edition that will cost you double or potentially tripled, depending on where you're getting it shipped to, than anything else you could buy. And that brings me to point number one, and this is the reason why I am not getting it. And it kind of ties into point number three, but unfortunately, I really think that this game is a little bit overproduced. But worse than that, in some cases, I really believe that these deluxifications actually will detract from the core experience. And I have two main gripes with what has currently been shown, and one of these I'm sure is going to be changed, and I'm going to claim credit for it being changed. I'm going to say because I said it, that's the reason why it got changed, but really because when I look through the comments, it's, I don't know, every fifth comment is also saying this. The map, the main player board, is horrible because of the orientation of the depots. So in the game, if I have a dice that's worth 3, I can pay a worker and use it as if it was a 2 or a 4. But the thing is, the same thing applies if you have a 6 or a 1. You can turn the 1 into a 6, or you can turn the 6 into a 1. And both previous versions of the map had the depots in a circle to represent that change. So you could physically see how many workers it would take for you to get to that other depot that you wanted to use your dice for. And here, it's just backwards. And I can't fathom why that decision was made. And I'm sure it's going to be changed. It's got to be changed because it literally affects the usability and the teachability of the game. It makes it less effective to teach the game to people. And it's really, it's a big pet peeve of mine. I saw the board and I actually shuddered. And that's perhaps a dramatic overreaction. But the consideration of this, for my thinking, is of genuine surprise that what I believe to be a very basic mistake was made in this sort of upgrading deluxification design. And all credit to Awakened Realms. They're always incredible at interacting with their community, and I am 90 to 95% sure that this will be changed in the final version. I believe enough people will be loud in the comments, and I believe that Awakened Realms will listen, because they do listen, and they are interested in this collaboration. But when you make mistakes like that, it knocks my faith down a little bit that there won't be any more instances. And honestly, the same can be said for the castles. I understand why people don't like these castles, because I actually think they will detract from the game, and they will make the game less playable. Because the whole point of the game is to survey your kingdom and to be able to see easily, and it's not always easy, what the other players have going on. And if I've got this big honking castle blocking a portion of my board, and you have to constantly look around the castle and see what I have there, or what numbers I'm looking for, or what tiles I'm potentially searching for, that actually detracts from the strategic implications of the game. It's like the opposite of Rising Sun or Ank's monuments, which I find enhance the presence because you can see them and you need to see them. In this, you don't need to see people's castles. The only thing that castles do is basically give you an extra turn. That's their bonus. They're completely inconsequential. And having this big honking castle on your board that can block the sight of other players, it feels like too much. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt. No, don't take it with a grain of salt. I stand by it. I'm not rolling back on this decision. You see what happens when I get upset. This poor guy. But I know that I am not necessarily the target audience for this thing. I don't need the upgraded terrain aspect. I I know that there will be a miniature upgrade for the ships as well. Why not? They're going to put little minis for everything upcoming as an add-on. For sure, there's going to be more minis as an add-on. This is Awakened Realms, let's be real. They can't be satisfied with just 12 castles. They want more plastic. And I know some people may like that plastic, but I want to put this point first to really hammer home to consider before you get swept up in the pretty sculpts, because they're going to look pretty and the sun drop looks nice. Before you get swept up in that feeling, really consider the gameplay implications and if you will be annoyed by having to grab another thing and put it on and having another tray of minis to leave on the side to set up and having all this extra stuff which just adds stuff to what used to be a streamlined and elegant game. Or this could enhance your experience. Absolutely it could. But work through the physical motions and recognize if you get annoyed or frustrated, because I do when I have trays and trays of minis on the table that I just have to pull out for 3 seconds of pointlessness. So that's my number one reason. Those are my reasons why you shouldn't back Castles of Burgundy, the special edition. And a bonus reason, because I said I'd give you another one. Some people are upset if you live in not the EU, in a place that doesn't charge VAT. Some people are upset that VAT is seemingly being absorbed into the price and they don't believe that the shipping discount will actually reflect that. They feel like they are subsidizing other people's taxes and that is an annoyance to them. And I recognize this and I understand this. And Awakened Realms has this big thing saying, no, we're gonna give you discounted shipping in the countries where you don't pay VAT. You get the discounted shipping. And I don't know. I mean, to Canada, the shipping for this size of box, luckily, Lords of Hellas and ISS Vanguard have been about the same weight, and it's exactly the same shipping as they're quoting on the page, if you look back. And then I even look back to Etherfields, which was in pounds and not euros, and after the conversion, depending on what the conversion is, you would have paid about €6 less to ship it to Canada for a one wave pledge of Etherfields. And honestly, with the horrible shipping increase that has been going on, maybe that €6 difference, that slight inflation, might actually be a lot greater if Awakened Realms wasn't subsidizing it. Or maybe they've been stealing your money this whole time and the conspiracy is abounding. You're not only paying for people's shipping, you're paying for their entire game. Might be one or the other. I'm not sure. I mean, all it takes is one person saying, hey, you know, I heard that our shipping was $10 and then Awakened Realms just jacked it up to $40 because they wanted more money. Or one person saying, hey, I heard that the shipping was actually like $100 and Awakened Realms brought it down to $40 and really like are taking a hit so that we can get our game. So, you know, just pick whichever one of those you want. And I'm sure both of them are not correct. You can see why it was a bonus reason. Those are my 5 reasons you shouldn't back Castles of Burgundy. Hopefully that provided some food for thought. Hopefully you made it this far and weren't so enraged me telling you not to get yourself a little toy that you threw your computer into the wall and now you've got a lot more problems to worry about. If you did make it this far and you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting the like on the video, because you won't even notice that you did it and it really helps me out a lot. And also, before you go, please drop in the comments if you are backing or if you aren't and your reasons why, because it's helpful. I know it's helpful. A lot of people have mentioned scrolling through the comments and seeing everyone's reasons, and I guarantee you will help someone decide one way or the other if this is the right game for them, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that we can all do this together as that sort of community. Anyway, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, my name's Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase. My cat will be very upset that his favorite toy got sacrificed for this bet. It's not his favorite toy. He played with it for like a second when I brought it in. I said, no, that's my favorite toy. I'm using it for a bit. Oh. See ya.